Travis went good, so the Salt Lake Tribune this morning, which may have been from last night, I can't remember, but had a tell us what you think. So I was like, about what? Oh, okay, is Utah united or are they divided because of the church? So I thought, oh, yeah, I can make a comment. And so I went on and went to make a comment, and it turns out that my Microsoft account has deemed that my username is a violation of community guidelines. Travis Goodsell is a violation. Wow. Okay. This was the first time that I can recall, so it's at least been since 2014. Because I don't know when, and I don't even think it was then, because I was using Firefox. I only use Microsoft Edge to skim over the news that is on that feed, because none of these other Google platforms have that kind of a feed. And I don't know how or where I could have violated any community guidelines. So unless it was a hacker who purposely did this to sabotage me so that they can gain access to tampering with my Microsoft apps and programs and computer system, that's something for Microsoft to be looking into. But it would have been nice if I would have seen some kind of feedback thing available. There wasn't. Nonetheless, I didn't get to make a comment with the Salt Lake Tribune. On YouTube, creators are under the microscope if they are targeted by certain employees who are biased. And so those of us who are on the other side of the bias of particular employees, we get harassed. We get bullied by YouTube employees on their own YouTube platform. And so, yes, this is about the church. And so why doesn't YouTube then just come out and say, this is the LDS Church's official platform. Use it only if you're going to be Mormon friendly. I mean, seriously. Because what happens when you have employees going rogue, violating YouTube's own policies for employees? Because employees have human resources where they get in trouble, they go there and they could, get fired for human resource violations at the workplace. That's why they have human resources. And so, yeah, you can imagine the chaos where the church gets all their videos of spreading hate and medical misinformation and historical misinformation and incitement to violence videos. Whereas me, who does videos warning about the evils of the church in inciting hate and inciting violence, misinforming the public on history. I just did Martin Harris this morning. It took hours to get it all uploaded. 3-hour video as I'm going over finding out what the church is covering up and misinforming the public about concerning their own church history. And I'm having to correct it to set the record straight. And so if you have a situation like that where any complaints that are for videos that are against the church, the employees say, yeah, I agree with that. Ban that video. And YouTube's done that to me. I'm warning people to follow medical professionals. YouTube employees either created their own complaint or had somebody else file a complaint. My video was banned for telling people to follow medical professionals. I filed an appeal pointing out to them that Nelson has a video, The Healing Power of Gratitude, which he came out this year confessing that yes, he was medically misinforming the public. And it's over 12 million views. And YouTube's profiting off of this, just like the church is. But his video doesn't get banned, mine did. And so, yeah, I can't trust YouTube to claim that they want community guidelines enforced. They instead instill fear, just like China does. In China, they purposely ban people from viewing beyond what China wants them to view and browse. You especially can't see anything from the United States in China. This is what's being done with social media platforms. Not just YouTube, Facebook, and I'm not sure about Twitter. There's been some scandals that they've had, but I'm sure they've got bots and bullies that get on there too. And that's the other thing, is that with social media, it has incited people to hate and violence in the comments that they put on people's videos or posts. And YouTube, you can report them, they'll review it, and then they'll just delete the comment. But they don't punish people. There is no 3 strikes, you're out. And so that's kind of a dangerous situation where you can have a person constantly harassing a certain video channel. Yes, me too. And they don't get held accountable. Then there's the issue of obscenity on YouTube. YouTube doesn't allow nudity, right? Well, they do. There's tons of it. But it's not bad. Nudity is not bad. Yes, if you think it is, you're an idol worshiper. You're body shaming other human beings. And I refer you to your religious Bible in the garden scene. Who was the one who told Eve she should be ashamed for being naked? Give you a hint, wasn't God. And yet it's Christianity, mostly evangelicals, but Mormons love to join in. We're Christian too. As they impose their religious beliefs, which I've already shown you are wrong. They're not adhering to their own Bible, on others. That's a violation of the First Amendment. You have religious freedom, but you have to give freedom of speech and now expression to others. You cannot use your freedom to take away others' freedom with your hate, with your bigotry, with violence. And yet, with the internet comes hackers who think they can enforce morality on anybody who happens to come across any kind of site that shows women. Nude or not, doesn't matter. They target those channels to go after people for viewing. Now, are we like China? Should we ban people from viewing our browsing history? Heaven forbid, oh no. Don't want to be communist. Well, China's not communist. He's an emperor now. And so it's in the realm of fascism. You know, like Nazis. Got to get your government definitions correct. And so the banning of viewing is a violation of the First Amendment. Why would Microsoft or Google have it on their search engine, but then punish the viewer, the browser? There are cops here in Utah who are notorious for setting traps. Oh, you've browsed this channel that we set a trap for. It's like having cops just hanging out on the side of the road, and when a car goes by, they pull you over. And their reasoning? You were driving. That's it. They throw you in jail, give you a ticket. You know, it doesn't matter. Just because you were driving. You weren't violating anything. You had your seatbelt on. You were driving the speed limit that was posted. You were just driving, and so they punished you. That's the same thing as punishing people for browsing. It's illegal. It's cyber terrorism. It's censorship of our First Amendment rights. So why would YouTube do it? Everybody on YouTube should have a Google account. And in the Google account, they have to verify their age. Why then should they be censoring channels with their algorithm program? Or thumbnails? Now maybe you don't want to see certain stuff. You know, maybe you think that the Mormon Church is offensive. And you don't want anything from them on your YouTube channel. So why then does YouTube still make that happen, but other things not? They could fix their problems. They just choose not to. And so when it comes to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, I probably should first go over Miller versus California again. Community guidelines comes from the Miller v. California decision, 413 U.S. 15, 1973. There are 3 questions that the judges said need to be answered in order to determine what obscenity is. They don't say pornography, they say obscenity. And so, 1, whether the average person, applying contemporary community standards. That's where the social media platforms and the internet systems get it from. Community guidelines, boom, number 1. It's an outward appearance display that they claim is legal. But they all blow it. Appeals to the prurient interest. And then 2, whether the work depicts or describes in an offensive way. Well, what's offensive? That's an opinion. Mormons believe the church isn't offensive. Everybody who leaves the church knows the church is offensive. And then sexual conduct, excretory functions. But there's number 3. And this is where the landmark decision was. Whether the work, so a work is an art. There's lots of different fields of art. Computer design, that's a work of art. And you get copyrights, trademarks, patents for works of art. So whether a creation of man, taken as a whole, lacks serious, literary, artistic, wait a minute, it's already artistic, political, or scientific value. And they should put educational. But number 3 nullifies 1 and 2. Because everything fits. And so what then do criminals get to upload child porn? No! That's not what this is saying. Because now you're talking about crime. An image in and of itself is not a crime. Those children portrayed in the work are victims of crime. They're being held hostage. They're being exploited so that other people can make money off of them. That's the crime, not the images themselves. Those children need to be rescued. There needs to be systems in place on the internet to say, hey, whoa, I'm here browsing and I just came across a crime, I think. If you've ever seen 8mm with Nicolas Cage, you'll understand what I mean. Was it a movie or was it a snuff film? With modern technology, Hollywood is capable of doing, wow, is that real? Yeah, the actor went on to do that other movie, but wow, their head just all over the screen. Yeah, they're able to deceive our eyes with Hollywood magic. And so then we get to the church. Are we ready for the church now? We're 20 minutes in. I lost the majority of my audience, didn't I? Nelson revised the temple recommend questions for worthiness And religions have religious freedom, but not to commit crime. Number 10, are you a full tithe payer? That's a crime. Churches even come out and confessed. They're violating tax law. This is a protection racket. And here it is, public. He got up at conference and announced it. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is offensive and obscene, and therefore should be shut down if they refuse to stop this practice. The Washington Post came out last night adding to the list of those press worldwide that know that the church is corrupt. They hoard money. They neglect the poor as a church, or so they claim they're a church. But there's others. There's the one on morality. The Lord has said that all things are to be done in cleanliness. And I've gone over with you. That was not morality. Doctrine and Covenants 42:41 is not referring to morality. And then they get into the questions. Do you strive for moral cleanliness in your thoughts and behavior? Well, what's moral for the church? They're bigoted against gays, LGBTQIAPO+. And I'm not sure if binary is a letter yet. I saw a news feed about parents talking about how their little child is coming out as binary. I'm not sure what that is, or if that's already a letter in the LGBTQIAPO+, because I thought the B was for bisexual. I think binary is something else, isn't it? But nonetheless, what is moral? The church doesn't have any kind of statement other than no sexual relations except with your polygamous wives to whom you are legally and lawfully wedded, according to Section 132. That's what Nelson changed it to. That's a crime. Polygamy is a crime. Nelson changed the law of chastity in the temple to a crime of polygamy. He's setting things up for the millennium when they're going to take over the world and all the governments. Remember? It was exposing that the church was pest and destroyed my life. And YouTube aided and abetted. And so, what does it mean to be moral? In my thoughts? Seriously? Do you even understand how a man's mind works in regards to sexual procreation? Because if men did not desire to procreate the human species, mankind would cease to exist. And you get psychos, psychologists, psychos, who use fallacy arguments to put the fear in Christians, like Mormons, to look beyond the mark, to look at misinformation because they say that, oh, a man's eyes dilate when he wants sex. His frontal lobe is activated. So what? But they treat it as if it's something to fear. But if man had no sexual desires, the human race would cease to exist. And there are people who want that. And there are religions and white supremacist groups who want that for others, but not for their white supremacist people. And that's a crime. And so this, number 5, is also criminal because it's white supremacist. And here it is on the internet, churchofjesuschrist.org. The church is a hate group. And they've got a whole website filled with their hate, their incitement to violence. They are an enemy to the people. They're seeking to overthrow all governments of the world. And they, with our tithing, are paying our enemies to cyber attack us and to do other attacks. And so this whole community guideline thing is all crap. Because the First Amendment is about freedom to be good. It is not about freedom to hate. That is not your free speech. Because once you demonstrate hate, it causes fear in those you target. It puts their lives in jeopardy. It puts their liberty in jeopardy. It puts their property in jeopardy. You're committing a crime with your words. You do not have that right. The press does not have the right to just lie to the public, to just make up stories that will appeal to their audience, to get them ratings, to get them sponsors. Everybody's all screwed up. Nobody understands. And so when the church tells Mormons that you can only read, watch, listen to what we tell you to, and then they go onto Wikipedia and remove information they don't want people to find out about when they put in lies, and obviously they can't have a reference for it, or they put in a reference that if somebody were to actually look at would realize it's not a correct reference, and then others, they just gloss over it, don't discuss it. This is what a hate group does. They censor information. They provide misinformation and disinformation to purposely lead people astray. And this is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And they're getting away with it because social media platforms are getting away with it. Because our government is letting everybody get away with it. They're all debating, oh no, is it free speech to hate? No. Because you're a criminal against another person. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to say nice things about the church. Obviously. Telling the truth is what is required. And so I tell the truth on my YouTube videos. The church is evil. They've got the symbol of Lucifer. I learned today Vesper is the evening Venus. So the morning Venus is Lucifer, the evening Venus is Vesper. I started going over the first James Bond of Daniel Craig's. That's not our God, Mormons. At least not Joseph Smith's. And so, why then are you lying? Why are you getting angry when people say, why are you getting violent? You're the criminals. Because you can't be honest. You're purposely deceiving and lying to the public. And you're trying to force your morality, your standards and values on others. There is only one commandment for all religions, who use the Bible at least. Love. That's it, that's all. It even says it. Yeah, we've got all these other commandments, but the greatest is love. All of the others are based on it. If they're not based on love, they're not a commandment from God. So why can't Mormons figure that out? They claim to be the true church, and they don't love. There are just numerous examples of Mormon hate, which is incited by the prophets. And it's got to stop. But who's going to stop them? Who's going to dare to molest or make afraid? Just me, but YouTube won't let me. And now my life is over.